Let's talk about crap. The top 10 worst movies of 2020, and this year was a doozy. I would say I saw more bad movies this year than I've seen in the last 5 years. I mean, this year was brutal. There were some real stink bombs, and there's one movie, I'm not a huge fan of doing honorable mentions, but there was one movie that nearly made the list, but I couldn't in good conscience do it, and that's Spike Lee's The Five Bloods. I hate this movie. I really do. I think that it is manipulative, pandering, bloated, poorly directed garbage, but I can't knock it for trying. I can't in good conscience put a movie on my 10 worst of list when I know it swung for the fences. Now, it swung and missed, and it landed on its face and fractured its skull, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, and there are movies on this list that didn't even try, and so I can't put this as like one of the worst films of the year, but yeah, an honorable mention because I don't like it, and I know a lot of people do, and a lot of people are going to think I'm a jackass, but hey, I didn't put it on my bottom 10. What do you want from me? Let's jump into it now. The 10 worst movies of 2020. Number 10, Wonder Woman 1984. Talking about taking something that was pretty darn good the first time around. I enjoyed the first Wonder Woman, and completely manipulating it and mutilating it to the point that it's not even a shell of what the first movie was. And the first movie wasn't great, but it was solid. The script is nonsense. Whoever thought it was a good idea to have Patty Jenkins write this movie is crazy. The premise is completely ridiculous. It's way too long. I'll say again, I think Gal Gadot gives a bad performance, and I don't think she's that great an actress. I think Patty Jenkins did such a good job in that first movie of catering to her strengths, but I don't think she's very good in this. Kristen Wiig gives a laughably bad performance. You know, I watched this movie and I just think, man, maybe Wonder Woman just isn't a very good character. Maybe they just hit lightning in a bottle with that first film, because this one is borderline terrible. It's one of the worst comic book sequels that we've seen in a long time. Number 9, Josh Trank's Capone. This movie will always hold a special place in my heart. It was the first movie that I reviewed back when I rebooted this channel in April, and it's not good at all. It's been 10 months since I've seen this movie, and I'm not sure what Josh Trank was going for here. There's moments of total horror. There's moments where it's trying to be a mafia film, where it's basically just trying to be Scorsese light. There's moments where I think it's going for dark comedy, but I don't know. And if you can't judge what a director's intent is, I mean, that's the sign of a bad film. There's a 5-minute scene of Al Capone shitting his pants, and that was funny? Sad? I don't know. I still don't know. Bad movie. Number 8, The Night Clerk. I applaud Ty Sheridan. He gave a good performance as a young man who's on the autism spectrum. I think Ana de Armas is wonderful. The biggest problem with this movie, because I was with it for the first half, is that I think it was directed by a meat patty. I mean, this is like one of the worst directed movies I've seen in a while. You have a murder mystery with zero tension, zero suspense, zero red herrings. It doesn't make me angry, but I was really disappointed because I feel like it wasted what was some pretty solid potential. Number 7, Irresistible. Simply irresistible. This movie was not. Maybe my biggest disappointment of 2020, because I love Jon Stewart. I think he's a genius. Jon Stewart's one of my heroes, and the idea of him in 2020 making a political satire sounded like such a great idea, but it falls completely short. This story is poorly executed. It has an ending that is like just completely out of left field and ridiculous, and its biggest flaw is that it's not funny. You have Jon Stewart, who on The Daily Show 4 or 5 times a night would at least make me chuckle, if not laugh out loud, and you made a 2-hour movie here that isn't funny at all. And I root for Jon Stewart. I still think Jon Stewart, somewhere in him, can be a really great filmmaker, but this movie, it just didn't work for me. Number 6, The Wrong Missy. This movie should probably be higher. I mean, this is so the kind of movie that I would just despise, like that lowbrow, lowest common denominator, Happy Madison kind of humor. Now, in my review, and it was one of my early reviews, so forgive me a little bit, but I referred to Lauren Lapkus as Sarah Lupkus. I don't know where that came from, man. It was during quarantine. Everybody was loopy. And this is a terrible, terrible movie. But the reason it's not higher is because there is something novel. There is a novelty to Lauren Lupkus's completely out there, completely committed performance. Now, it's not a good performance. Her character is extremely annoying, but man, oh man, is she committed to this. But its biggest problem is that it's not funny, and there's several things in it that are downright offensive. I mean, she rapes David Spade twice in this movie. I mean, there's one scene that is like full-on sexual assault. There's a moment where he falls asleep on a plane, and she starts doing, because, sexual assault is hilarious. No, it's not. maybe this movie should be higher. Man, this thing sucks. I don't know. I guess there's just 5 other movies that just annoyed me more. But yeah, this is so stupid, man. This is a bad film. Number 5, The Lovebirds. Note to directors out there, casting talented people, turning on a camera and just telling them to improv for 2 hours doesn't work. You need structure. You need direction. This was one of the most annoying movies I watched this entire year. It was like watching 2 hens just go bark, 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 bark. And that's not a hen, that's a chicken. But you know what I mean. What do I look like, an animal expert? Get out of here. Number 4, another really annoying comedy, Eurovision. This is a movie people liked, and I wanted to like it. I like Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell is a very funny man. But I watched this thing for whatever it was, an hour, 40 minutes, and the entire time I was like this. Waiting for the comedy, waiting for jokes, because there's nothing here that made me laugh. There's one moment, and it's completely juvenile. It's a moment where Will Ferrell gets mad and tips over somebody while they're on a porta potty. Besides that, there's nothing in this that made me laugh. I didn't know Eurovision was a thing. When I found out it was, apparently that meant that I was supposed to like it. No, it's not funny. The improv is bad. The script is terrible. It's poorly directed. It's not even that long, and yet it feels like it's about 5 hours. I couldn't stand this movie at all, and I know there's people who like it, and if you like it, fine. You know, there's nothing inherently offensive about it necessarily, but it's a comedy that didn't make me laugh, and to me, that's a criminal offense, at least in the world of movie making. Number 3, Mulan. You know, I didn't like this movie when I saw it, and I gave it a 4, but over time, I've grown to really like it less. You know, I did have to commend it for its production value and some of the direction, but you know what? That comes with the territory when you're making a Disney movie. This is a film that took a subject matter that was really cool, that took source material that was really fun and charming, and sucked every ounce of personality out of it, every ounce of charm, every ounce of humor, everything that made the characters fun and endearing, took out the music, and you're just left with a completely hollow shell of a movie. You know, I don't have a problem with Disney live action remakes. I don't have a problem with remakes in general. People are always like, oh my God, I can't believe they remade that movie. It ruined my childhood. The original's not going anywhere. I can pop on the original Mulan whenever I want. Same with The Lion King, same with Cinderella, same with Beauty and the Beast. But if you're going to remake something, you better make sure that you retain the core, the soul of what made the original work. This goes so far in the other direction, and it's completely soulless. It's an empty, hollow shell of a movie, one of the worst of the year, and I rarely ever say this about a movie because I'm sure people worked hard on it. I'm glad it bombed. Good. Send the message that movies like this shouldn't be hits, that we don't want to see this crap regurgitated. Number 2, David Ayer's The Tax Collector. Now, I have to fully admit here, for people who've seen that review, in that review, I said some very complimentary things about Shia LaBeouf, both as an actor and as a person. It has since come out that Shia LaBeouf was horrifically abusive towards his ex-girlfriend, and of course, you know, I take back what I said about him, clearly. But I have to say that because I know there's going to be people who might go back and find that review and be like, hey man, you said nice things about Shia LaBeouf, that guy's an abuser. I didn't know that at the time, and I apologize for not being able to tell the future. With that said, the problems with this movie don't have to do with Shia LaBeouf. I just don't think David Ayer's that good. I think he's made some good movies, but this is essentially a straight-to-DVD movie that somehow found its way onto streaming. The acting, again, outside of Shia LaBeouf, who's like at least trying, is completely terrible. The action is flat. It's completely derivative of other movies, but it doesn't add anything new. It's boring. God, this movie is so dull and lifeless and boring and poorly directed. This main actor, Bobby Soto, is completely charismaless, and the script feels like it was written by a 12-year-old whose favorite movie is Training Day, and they're just trying to repeat that success. It's so bad, and it's one of the worst movies I've seen. In most years, this would be number 1, because this is just like an obscenely awful film. It's a terribly misguided piece of cinema, and yet from the clouds came the number 1 worst movie of 2020, and that is Artemis Fowl. There is a part of me that feels sorry for this movie, to be honest with you, because Kenneth Branagh's attached to this as a director, and this is a book series that was really popular that a lot of people loved. I think the filmmakers and the people behind the camera came into this with good intentions. I really do. I don't think anyone was trying to make crap, but this thing had been in production hell for almost 20 years. And when that happens, a product that maybe in its original form may have been really cool and neat gets watered down and diluted into what is one of the worst big budget studio films I've ever seen. Every actor in this is completely embarrassing themselves. Judi Dench should have her SAG card revoked for the crimes she's committed against cinema with this and Cats, which came out at the end of 2019, which I will never forgive her for. It's completely flat. There's absolutely no whimsy to it. There's no charm to it. Despite Josh Gad's best efforts, all the other actors are really poor. It's boring. I mean, I went on and on about this in my review. It's just, to me, what makes this the worst movie of 2020, and it will end up being one of the worst movies of the decade, is the fact that this believed it was going to be something more than what it was. This wanted to be the next Harry Potter. This wanted to be the next big budget, huge studio franchise film. And if you're going to do that, you need to focus right away on making the first film good. That's what Harry Potter did right, is that they took that series one movie at a time and they never lost that momentum. This was a movie that was trying to count its chickens before they hatched, and guess what? There was a gas leak on the farm and all the chickens got blown to smithereens. That's what happened here. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I don't recommend anybody watch it. I have not heard a single person, and this is rare because even the worst movies of all time sometimes have their defenders. I haven't heard a single person be complimentary towards this movie. It's an absolute mess, and I do feel bad because I do think that there were people who tried their hardest on this, but studio interference and a horribly written script bogged this thing down and made it absolutely the worst movie of 2020. That was cathartic for me, talking about what were some of the worst films of the year. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Click that like button, click that subscribe button. What was the worst movie that you saw in 2020? Please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I'll see you later. Peace and happiness.